What's up everyone, welcome back to a brand new video. Today is something that I saw a lot of suggestions for, although it's not something that would really change too much in the series, so that's why I'm making it a mini what if rather than a full one. The reason I finally decided to do this one is because of last week's what if mini, which you can check out linked above. You'll see why later, but something from that one inspired me to make this one. Even though they don't seem related at first, you'll see the connection I made between the two. However, this scenario will definitely go very differently. We know that Vegeta basically abandoned getting Ultra Instinct. He didn't really care about it at all, and even the newest chapter of the manga supports this. But today, Vegeta's actually going to have a shot at getting it, and once he actually does, it'll have some big effects on the story. For this part, let's hit a like goal of 3,500 likes. This is a what if mini, but after reading the script, this will probably end up being 2 parts, so if we hit that like goal, I'll continue with another part that finishes this scenario. But with all that out of the way, let's begin this story. The best place for this to occur is when Vegeta's fighting Toppo, and that's where the story begins. In his God of Destruction mode, Toppo is definitely very powerful. Vegeta's having a tough time even with Blue Evolution now. Toppo's power is so much higher than it was before, but Vegeta's is as well, although it may not actually be enough. He comes to learn this as the fight goes on. Toppo shows off more and more of his strength, as well as using more of his godly powers. Bits of the ring are destroyed. He's using that destroyer energy. Pieces of the ring literally disintegrate around Vegeta, but he's not deterred. He knows he could find a way around this. He considers exploding, thinking it may be the only way to actually counter Toppo's attacks. His regular energy simply doesn't cut it. He would need to expel all of it at once if he wants to defeat Toppo. And yeah, that may work. It would not only destroy Toppo's attacks, but possibly knock him out of the ring. But Vegeta also knows that it carries the risk of killing him. Even though he feels that he may be able to handle it, the risk is too much. Not to mention, what if someone else gets caught up in the blast? If Goku or 17 get hit by it, he'll just be hurting his team. He saves that idea for later. He'll use it as a last resort if he really needs. He has another way to use his full power without blowing himself up. He jumps back and begins charging, cupping his hands together as energy sparks around the arena. He's preparing a final flash, stronger than any final flash that he's done before. Toppo launches one of his attacks, as Vegeta finally charges his up, launching it in return. The two attacks clash. At first, Vegeta's attack holds Toppo's back, but slowly, Toppo's energy gets closer and closer. Vegeta tries using more energy, but still, he's being overpowered. As Toppo's blast gets closer to him, Vegeta gives off one last push, with an excessive amount of power being released. This doesn't overpower Toppo's attack, it completely obliterates it, causing it to explode. A massive wave of energy hits Toppo. As he tries to guard against it, he also sees the explosion behind it, fearing that his attack actually killed Vegeta. He's actually a bit shocked. He thought Vegeta may be able to handle it, but instead, his attack may have been too potent, but the two Zenos hold off on eliminating Toppo. If he did kill Vegeta, he would have been disqualified right away, and Toppo's confused, as is everyone else. Vegeta seems to have died from it. Toppo should be kicked out immediately, but then they see a sight similar to what they saw with Goku before. A weird energy emanates from the area where Toppo's attack exploded. A sparkly purple aura is there, a normal leftover from his attacks, but then, that aura is completely dissipated, knocked away by another one, a much stronger aura. But just as quickly as that aura appears, it disappears, and then Toppo feels someone behind him. He rapidly feels 3 punches hit his back. He quickly turns around, but the same thing happens again. The wind is knocked out of him. He doesn't know who's attacking him. His eyes dart around, trying to find whoever was responsible. But then in front of him, someone appears. It's Vegeta, but instead of being in that blue-haired form, his hair looks normal. But then Toppo realizes what happened. It's the same thing that happened with Goku beforehand. As you'd probably imagine, Whis is pretty thrilled by this. 2 of his students have access Ultra Instinct. Yes, that's what Vegeta has. Toppo tries to attack, but Vegeta dodges everything. Not only is he faster and sharper, but he's stronger. Toppo feels this when he's attacked. And Vegeta doesn't mess around here. Now that he has the chance to defeat Toppo, he takes it. He makes pretty quick work of the Pride Trooper, tossing him out of the ring without hesitation. But just as quickly as he defeats Toppo, he drops out of Ultra Instinct. He has a harder time maintaining it than Goku did. But still, a few great things came out of this. 1, he knows he could access it. 2, he was able to defeat Toppo. And 3, he saved a lot of energy by doing this. Using Ultra Instinct itself was of course draining, and he did get injured by Toppo's attack, but this is way better than blowing himself up. He not only saved a lot of energy, but prevented a lot of his injuries. Although he doesn't really care too much that he lost it. He wasn't too fond of Ultra Instinct before, and he isn't too fond of it now, and this just proves it. Just like Kakarot, he lost it right after using it, but nonetheless, it's good that he got the help. And even though he hasn't really warmed up to it, he still realizes why it might be important. He can't lie and say he's not intrigued. But at the very least, this isn't something that he's going to try to pursue purposefully. If he gets it again, then so be it. Let's skip a bit, over to when Android 17 saves Goku and Vegeta as they try and recover. Vegeta feared sacrificing himself before, and he sees 17 do the same thing that he was thinking of. As a last resort, Vegeta's gonna fight against Jiren. Even though he's worn out, this is their last resort. But one of the good things here is he's not as worn out as he was originally. Like I said before, he saved a lot of stamina by not blowing himself up. So immediately, he jumps into Blue Evolution, ready to face off against Jiren. Surprisingly enough, he is able to get some hits on him. It seems after accessing Ultra Instinct, he did somewhat see a boost in strength, just like Kakarot did. And in Jiren's current state, he does leave a few marks, although it's nothing too big. Jiren shows off some more power, and then it suddenly becomes clear that the gap isn't closed. Vegeta's power is still eclipsed by Jiren. He starts losing ground, getting hit left and right from Jiren. He's literally beaten out of Blue Evolution, that's how bad the beatdown is. But he's not deterred. Even though he's in base, he still tries to fight. And then he remembers from before, the feeling of Ultra Instinct. Even if he may not be able to overpower Jiren right now, maybe he can try and at least dodge his attacks, trying to tap into Ultra Instinct somehow, someway. He doesn't much care for it, but he has no other choice. He tries to remember how it felt before. Vegeta's pretty good at strategy and learning things quickly, so he tries to replicate the feeling. He's literally pushed to the edge by Jiren, not only pushed to the edge of his limits, but pushed to the edge of the ring. And as Jiren prepares the final attack, Vegeta quickly dodges it. Once again, he's awakened Ultra Instinct. He kicks Jiren in the back, almost knocking him off the ring, but Jiren shoots a blast of the ring and then jumps off one of the rocks nearby, launching towards Vegeta once again. The two begin their fight. Vegeta's still pretty worn out, and he doesn't have complete control over Ultra Instinct, not to mention this is only his second time using it, but for now he can at least try and hold Jiren off. Goku watches on, feeling helpless. He wants to join in the battle too, but he's just too worn out. With Vegeta still in the ring, that means Vegeta hasn't given Goku his energy, so he's still a bit worn out, although he's getting better now that Vegeta's holding Jiren off. Vegeta just needs to buy time. As long as they run the clock out, they'll still win. But suddenly, he's then joined by someone else. Taking notes from Vegeta and trying to replicate that feeling from before, Goku got Ultra Instinct again, but he's not going to master it. He's still an Ultra Instinct only. This is obviously an incredible display for the gods. Not only one person got Ultra Instinct, but two of them, and both from Universe 7. Whis is pretty pleased, as all the gods of destruction watch on in awe, and the angels look on in envy. It's a nice way to stroke Whis' ego. Both of his students got Ultra Instinct. It just goes to show how great of a teacher he is. The Ultra Instinct tag team begins fighting Jiren, and even though Goku's still a bit weakened due to not having Vegeta's energy, and not having the completed Ultra Instinct, still, it balances out with Vegeta being there. The two know that Jiren's a big risk. He still hasn't shown his full power and they need to take advantage of that. While he's suppressed, they're going to try and defeat him now. The two go all out, one of the rare times that the two are seen working together. Simply put, Jiren is outnumbered and overpowered, at least in his current state. But Ultra Instinct is fleeting, not just for Vegeta, but also for Goku. Each of them places their palm out, firing a massive combined blast that Jiren needs to defend against. As Jiren's surrounded by smoke, the two of them jump back, jumping on one of the rocks nearby. At the same time, both of them launch off the rock, each with one of their fists out. The smoke clears from Jiren's sight and then he sees. Before he can even react, he's hit by two punches, both from Goku and Vegeta. It knocks him clean off the ring, and for good measure, the two of them charge one last attack. Goku does a Kamehameha, while Vegeta does a Gamma Burst Flash. The two attacks merge together, and as Jiren tries to get back in the ring, he's hit directly from it, pushed into the void and defeated. And with this, Universe 7 wins. Now it's time to choose an MVP. Android 17's kind of bummed because he's revealed to be alive and he didn't really make a big show of it. Frieza was also trying to do the same thing, so it kind of ruins it for them. But hey, as long as they won. Since Vegeta was never eliminated, I feel he'd probably be the MVP. He did get a lot of eliminations, including a few big ones. Realistically, it could go towards Goku too, but either way, they're going to revive the other universes. Vegeta already promised Cabba that he'd do that, and he's going to go through with that promise. And you know what? While he's at it, he may as well just revive every universe, not just Universe 6. And as you'd expect, both the Zenos and the Grand Priest would be pretty happy, as would Vegeta. Not only did he keep his promise with Cabba, but he did a great thing. He was able to secure the win, save his unofficial student, and he saved all the other universes. Of course he didn't do it alone, but knowing Vegeta, this would probably stroke his ego quite a bit. So not only would Whis get a big head from this whole tournament, but Vegeta would definitely get one too. And with that, we end the tournament in power. Next we get into the Broly movie, and nothing really changes at first. Vegeta getting Ultra Instinct wouldn't affect anything beforehand, but once Broly gets to Earth, things begin to change here. As I mentioned before, and as we saw with Goku in the tournament, Vegeta getting Ultra Instinct beforehand did make him stronger by default. We saw Goku grow stronger after every time he used it, and Vegeta would probably be the same. So even though he doesn't have access to it now, it did pay dividends, and now in his base and every other one of his forms he is stronger. And naturally, Vegeta's the first one to fight Broly. Super Saiyan Vegeta's actually enough. He did briefly have an advantage originally, but here, the advantage is even bigger. The gap in power is so massive that Vegeta's not interested in fighting at all. He's gonna end this right now. Just to be safe, he goes into Super Saiyan God. Vegeta's able to knock Broly out. He sticks out a hand and begins charging a Big Bang attack. He waits for Broly to get up, but he's not standing. Vegeta is prepared to kill him, but Goku steps in, telling him to stop. There's no need to kill Broly. He's already knocked out and that's more than good enough. So, the fight ends much quicker than normal. Paragus is pretty angry that he lost, but Frieza's just as angry, if not angrier. These two Saiyans were worthless to him. He may as well kill them now. Frieza aims to kill Paragus, and then Broly. But before he can even do that, Vegeta goes right in front of him. He warned Goku before about leaving Frieza alive, and he's not going to make the same mistake here. Without hesitation, he immediately kills Frieza, finally getting that revenge that he wanted to have so badly, wiping him from the face of the universe. When doing this, he goes into Blue Evolution, shocking Paragus even more as he sees Vegeta's newest form. He wasn't aware that the Saiyans on Earth were so strong. There's no way he'll be able to kill Vegeta. Vegeta turns to Paragus and begins talking to him. He doesn't care for King Vegeta or even know what he did, but tells Paragus to stop whining about something that isn't his fault. Nearby, Goku carries Broly over, as he awakens from being knocked out. Paragus is still pretty torn. They could have just killed Broly right away if they wanted, but they spared him, only killing Frieza. And Vegeta reminds Paragus that he was used, him and Broly, as well as those other two right there, Chi-Lai and Lemmo. Paragus tries to argue that he's in the right, but Vegeta reminds him that he had nothing to do with sending him away. That was his father. Vegeta was just a kid at that point. He wasn't particularly fond of the Saiyans either. He doesn't really care that they died. And he didn't even know Paragus or Broly existed. Paragus killing Vegeta would change nothing, if he even could accomplish that. Paragus may actually start realizing his mistakes here, but it's obviously not going to be an instant change. So what would happen after this? Well, I feel like they wouldn't really be going back to Vampa. There's no need to go back there since they're not hiding from anyone. The Frieza force is all gone, as is Frieza. Also, it would kind of suck going back to that planet, so they could actually just stay on Earth if they wanted. Paragus is going to have to deal with his emotions, but they'll leave that to him. Now this is what I was referring to at the beginning with it relating to my last What If mini. Since Broly's going to stay on Earth here, however things are going to go much differently. No one's actually seen Broly's power yet. He did seem pretty impressive in base, but no one got to see his anger. He never even went wrathful, and obviously not Super Saiyan. Goku and Vegeta may be interested in training him, but he's not really a top priority. There's nothing to really warrant that as far as they're concerned. And this leads us into the Moro arc next. Broly actually stays on Earth. He hasn't begun training with Goku and Vegeta yet, and it's not just because of what I mentioned before, but also because everyone isn't exactly friends yet. Broly doesn't really care either way, since he was kind of just following what Paragus told him to do. But Paragus is still stewing over his emotions. It's not like him, Vegeta, Goku, and Broly are all best pals. No, they've just been kind of doing their own thing, with Goku and Vegeta keeping an eye on them to make sure that they weren't doing anything bad. Honestly, they really had no other choice. Frieza brought them here and now they're basically homeless, so the only right thing is to let them stay on Earth. And this is where Broly stays during the start of the Moro arc. Since they don't know the full extent of his power, he remains on Earth, and that would mean everything out in space goes normal, everything on Namek goes the same, and thereafter. But there is a big change toward the end of the Namek part. Vegeta contemplates going to Yardrat, but instead, he decides to go with Goku. Going to Yardrat would be pretty beneficial for him, but Vegeta has another idea in mind. Ultra Instinct, that form that they had from before during the tournament. He wonders if he could access it again, and the only way he's going to do that is if he trains with Kakarot. He has no other way of knowing how to do it, so he asks Kakarot to train for that. This actually catches Maris' attention. Ultra Instinct? He wasn't aware that those two knew about it, or at least he pretends he isn't. Goku and Vegeta are surprised to hear that he knows about it too, and he offers to train the two of them. He actually knows a thing or two about it, which comes as a pretty big surprise. So, Maris begins training the two of them for Ultra Instinct. Back on Earth, we see some of Moro's crew come over there. Piccolo's ready to intercept one of the ships that's about to arrive, but before he can get to that ship, he notices another ship shoot it down. The other ship is being piloted by Chi-Lai and Lemmo, and they hit it dead on as it flies out of the sky. On top of that ship, Broly is there, and he jumps down ready to help. Piccolo doesn't really know this guy too well. He sensed him fighting Goku and Vegeta before, but this is the first time they formally met. He wonders how they knew that there was trouble here, and that's all thanks to Chi-Lai and Lemmo. Broly sensed the power approaching, and they were worried that it may be another Frieza Force member. So Chi-Lai and Lemmo were able to locate the ship, and that's what led them here. Piccolo will formally introduce himself later. For now, the two of them have to take out these prisoners. And it's not too hard. They're able to capture them pretty easily, but there is one issue. On the lookout while they're planning their next move, someone appears out of nowhere. Broly feels a hand on his neck as he turns around to see 7-3 standing there. The last part ended off with something really interesting. 7-3 came to Earth, and the person that he actually targeted was Broly, grabbing onto his neck. This is obviously going to cause some issues. 7-3 getting the powers of the most powerful person on Earth right now? especially someone as uncontrollable as Broly. That'll definitely cause some issues. 7-3 notices that this power is pretty strong, and immediately he begins fighting the Saiyan. So what would 7-3 actually get out of this? Well, when he copies people's powers, he gets their strength. So in terms of raw power, he would be even with Broly at this point. But besides just their moves, he gets all of their abilities too. For example, when he grabbed Piccolo, he got Piccolo's regeneration. And you know what one of Broly's abilities is? Growing stronger really quickly, especially with anger. 7-3 is pretty calm right now, but as he fights, he grows at the same rate as Broly does. But as for Broly, he's the opposite of calm. He's starting to get annoyed, with that annoyance eventually turning into actual anger. Piccolo jumps in trying to help, but really, there's not too much they can do against 7-3. But Broly keeps on going anyways, and Piccolo realizes there may be an issue. He tries to calm Broly down, noticing that he's getting angrier and angrier. And if it gets to a certain point, it's going to be uncontrollable and he'll be too far gone. He's suddenly surrounded by a green glow, going into his wrathful state. He immediately gets an upper hand on 7-3, shocking the android. He knew Broly was strong, but nothing like this. But 7-3 starts to feel the same thing. He starts to feel that same rage that Broly has. And while this would be useful for power, he notices something worrying. Broly is starting to get uncontrollable. And if 7-3 gets uncontrollable, that could be bad. Broly begins attacking, dealing some serious damage. 7-3 needs to think quickly. He could either keep using Broly's power and get stronger at the cost of losing his sanity, or he could switch to something else, something much more potent. He decides to do that. It's the smarter choice and possibly the stronger choice. Broly shouts, launching a massive mouth blast at 7-3. But instead of exploding, the mouth blast instantly disappears. 7-3 is revealed there, with Moro showing in his gem. He's now switched to using Moro's powers. Suddenly, Broly snaps back to reality, getting some of his sanity back. But he also feels weaker. 7-3 has started stealing more of his energy. But Broly notices something weird. He kinda lost all memories of transforming into this state. But now, he's actually conscious. He's in the wrathful state but actually feels like he has some sort of control. Sure, some of his ki did get sapped by 7-3, making the android himself stronger. But as for Broly, it had an unintended side effect. Instead of that power overflowing to a point where it took control of him, it's like 7-3 trimming the fat for him. With Broly now not berserk, he goes to attack the android once more. And 7-3 is surprised. Even though he took some of his energy, this guy is still strong. And even after absorbing the energy using Moro's power, Broly still seems to have an upper hand. Knowing this guy may get stronger if he keeps on fighting, Piccolo tells Broly to end this as quick as possible, but not with ki attacks. Broly focuses on only using melee attacks, hitting 7-3 with powerful punches and kicks, basically stunning the android. Since he didn't get Piccolo's powers here, he doesn't regenerate from this either. Every attack he receives just injures him more. Broly grabs 7-3 by the head, slamming him into the ground, jumping up and quickly propelling himself back down as he kicks the android. He lifts 7-3 up once more, and then with his other hand, he charges a small blast that he brings right to 7-3's torso, with energy erupting out the other side. Weakly, 7-3 stands up. He screams and charges at Broly, but before he reaches the Saiyan, his head falls off. Krillin threw a Kienzan at him, landing the final blow, with Broly breaking the android's head so he's finally gone for good. Broly then calms down, going back into base. Sheila and Lemo rush over to see if he's okay, with Piccolo saying that he's fine. Actually, it seems like he got somewhat of a control over his power. This would be pretty good going forward, but he doesn't know if it was just temporary, or if it's something more promising. All they know though is that they defended Earth this time, but it won't be the last time they'll need to do this. They know by now that Moro will come again in 2 months, waiting to see if they can get any more energy. Until then, they have all the time they need to train and prepare. So, everyone on Earth begins that. Meanwhile, Goku and Vegeta are still doing their training. They do want to intercept Moro by this point, thinking that they can defeat him now. Not only that, but they know Earth is in danger and they'll be needed there to help. Luckily though, it seems like Earth is okay now, with some surprising help from Broly. They never really expected him to do that job. He still seemed pretty rusty, but whatever, this is obviously a welcome surprise. As for them, they're still working towards Ultra Instinct, at least a more complete version of it. Marius tells them it's better to wait instead of intercepting Moro now. They still need to train and still have a long way to go. But that doesn't mean they're not making progress. With the two of them in there, this makes training much more efficient. Obviously Marius is a big help too, but an extra training partner means an extra brain in there. The two can work together to improve themselves. Not to mention, with another training partner that helps them grow stronger. It's a win-win. It helps them get stronger in base, and may help them get to Ultra Instinct faster, with the two of them bouncing ideas off each other. By this point, they're able to use Omen at will, and they think this is good enough, but Marius tells them that's not the complete Ultra Instinct. The real Ultra Instinct is much more potent. Plus, there's a visual difference. It would have the white hair instead of the black hair. They didn't even realize this. They thought what they had was Ultra Instinct. But really, they just had an incomplete version of it. It's going to be a bit tougher since neither of them acts as the true Ultra Instinct, just Omen. But soon enough, Marius expects them to use the full Ultra Instinct at will. This is a very good start though. 2 months pass. On Earth, training goes pretty much the same, besides the fact that Broly's now part of it. As for everyone else though, they grow up pretty much the same rate. If not a little faster since Broly's there, meaning another training partner. And funny enough, there's 2 other people helping to defend Earth, as honorary Galactic Patrol members, G-Lai and Lemo are there too. Although, their fighting skills aren't too great. But hey, they pride themselves on their marksmanship. So even if they don't have fancy key attacks or whatever, I mean, they could always just try shooting Moro's crewmates. Regardless, they're there wanting to help. Jaco tells them that really they should be locked up since they are part of the Frieza Force. But that good skill shouldn't go to waste. They should consider being patrolmen. Moro's crew now arrives on Earth. But everyone's more than prepared. They've been training, and they've been expecting this. Especially now with the addition of Broly, fending off Moro's crew isn't too hard. Broly by now actually has a grip on his wrathful state, being able to use it at will, also making him the strongest person here. Pretty much everyone in Moro's crew is defeated, with the only remaining fighter being Saganbo. First, Broly goes to face him, and he is pretty strong, but Broly has a clear upper hand, at least until Moro steps in. He gives some of his energy to Saganbo, increasing his strength to new levels. He actually starts to get an upper hand on Broly. Broly starts feeling some of that anger again. He might need to actually let it out if he wants a chance in this fight. Even if he does lose control, it'll give him enough power to actually win. He thinks over his options, but before he can even decide, someone else steps in to help. He sees nothing but a blue blur as Saganbo disappears. And no, it wasn't Sonic the Hedgehog that came in, but it was someone with blue spiky hair. Vegeta is revealed to be there, in Super Saiyan Blue Evolution. Saganbo stands up, surprised to see a new fighter there. He tries to go and attack Vegeta, but then he's kicked away by someone else, another blue fighter. It's Goku. Once again, he gets up, lunging at the both of them, but each of them stick one hand out, and without even trying too hard, they each launch a blast at him, eliminating him instantly. Moro is glad to see that they're finally back, ascending onto the battlefield now ready to fight himself. Clearly they have gotten stronger. However, he doesn't feel it's enough to face him. Sure, Saganbo is tough, but he's not on the level of Moro. The magician gets ready, expecting to face both of them at once, with both of them in Super Saiyan Blue. And he does face both of them at once, but something's weird about them. They power up, but their hair doesn't turn blue. It stays the same black color, except it gets a little bit more flowy. He now sees what they're doing. Ultra Instinct, a technique of the gods. Interesting, so this is what they've been learning this whole time. Moro doesn't show it, but he is actually a bit concerned. Not just one fighter, but 2 of them using Ultra Instinct. Even individually they'd be really strong, but with 2 of them, Moro's gonna actually be cautious here. He's cocky and confident on the outside, but on the inside, he feels unsure as he goes in. Surprisingly, Vegeta's the only one to jump in and fight him at first. This may actually give him a chance. Moro grins. How stupid. They're both foolish enough to fight on their own. If they fought together, they would have stood a chance, but individually, there's no way they could win, at least in Moro's eyes. But this was actually done on purpose. They planned this to trip Moro up. They wanted to make it seem like they were overconfident, when really, they had some tricks up their sleeve. Moro thinks that he's at an advantage now, but really, they are. He focuses every attack on Vegeta, and then suddenly, Goku jumps into the fight too, which Moro didn't really expect. He thought the 2 would wait and take turns. But he fell right into their trap. They actually weren't being cocky. They were trying to get Moro to be cocky. Now he has an opening. Goku exploits that opening. This only creates more openings, which Vegeta exploits. Once again, the Ultra Instinct tag team is back in action. Moro knows he's in a corner. He's actually getting kinda desperate now. He sticks his hands out on each side, lifting them up as lava comes out of the ground, encapsulating himself in it. Goku and Vegeta dodge this attack, but after they do, they see a massive dome of lava where Moro was. Moro's trying to think of a plan. He created a barrier surrounded by this lava to try and help him, but he knows it won't hold for too long. The 2 of them can just burst through it at any time. Unsure of what to do, he clones himself, making at least a dozen other Moros. He launches a blast at the ground, burrowing underneath it, as the barrier then breaks from Vegeta launching a blast at him. Both Goku and Vegeta are pretty amused by this. Inside they see all the Moros, knowing that the magician is trying to trip them up. All the Moros jump up ready to attack, but Goku swings his arm, creating a giant wave of ki, with all the Moros vanishing as they're hit by it. Goku then looks at Vegeta, whose eyes are darting around. Vegeta then sticks a single hand out, launching a small blast that curves nearby, hitting the ground and then exploding with a great force. From this explosion, Moro was thrown out from the ground, with Goku grabbing Vegeta and teleporting the both of them over there. Did Moro really think that trick would work? He does know they could sense ki after all, right? Right now, they're near the other group of fighters. And even though Moro was caught, things are still going to his plan. He plans to take a hostage. He stretches an arm out, and suddenly Piccolo is dragged over to his location. He does the same with another hand, grabbing onto Krillin. He plans to use them as human shields. Goku and Vegeta are shocked by this, or at least they look shocked. They can tell Moro was getting really desperate, which means he's prone to slipping up, and of course it means he knows he's at a disadvantage. With Piccolo and Krillin in his hands, Moro jumps into the air, slowly flying backwards. He tells Goku and Vegeta to back off, or he'll kill these two, draining all of their energy in an instant. As Moro laughs, he suddenly feels a sharp pain in his hands. With two small blasts hitting them, Maris has jumped in, and with his marksmanship he shot him in both hands. For a good measure, Piccolo turns around and pokes him in the eyes too, blinding him. Krillin could have just blinded him, but I guess that is effective enough. Moro instinctively drops both of them and puts his hands on his eyes. Seems like Piccolo picked up a great trick from Goku, poking the opponent in their eyes. A classic and effective technique. Angered while his vision is coming back, Moro lunges towards them once more trying to grab them, also trying to drain their energy in the process. But before he grabs them, he feels pain in his shoulder, and then his other shoulder, and then all over his body. Goku and Vegeta are launching rapid punches at him, so fast that their send as compressed air blasts in Moro's direction, dealing damage and stunning him. The two practice this and they're ready. They were hoping that they'd have the complete version of Ultra Instinct by the time that this fight happened, but it seems like they didn't have enough time. It doesn't matter though because the strategy seems to be very effective, and the two get ready. Goku puts both of his hands out, surrounding Moro with a ring of energy as he's frozen in place. Inspired by Hit, Goku is using his Godbind technique, focusing all its energy and attention on Moro, trying to hold him in one spot. Vegeta powers up, launching more punches in his direction. They're launched at such a speed that Vegeta's arms can't even be seen. With Moro held in the air, Vegeta then jumps up, flying down with his elbow out as he hits Moro right in his snout, with Moro falling to the ground. He gets up, jumping back up ready to attack Vegeta, but he's then hit in the back by a powerful blast from Goku, leaving him open as he turns around, then being hit by Vegeta too. The two of them basically play Saiyan volleyball with him. Ultra Instinct makes volleyball pretty fun too, but of course, this is actually their way of trying to defeat him without using an energy attack, just because he can absorb that. With Moro stunned from all of these attacks, the two of them lunge at the magician together, with each landing a kick square in his face, knocking him clean out. And this is great because he can no longer steal energy. The two of them are ready to finish this. Back to back, the two begin charging Blast, launching a Gallic Kamehameha in Moro's direction, wiping him off the face of the earth, claiming victory. The two then power down into base, glad to have been successful. They also congratulate Piccolo and Krillin for being so brave in that hostage situation. Piccolo smirks as Krillin nervously laughs. Yeah, Piccolo was pretty calm and collected, but Krillin definitely wasn't. He was terrified. It's a good thing Maris came in the nick of time to save them. And luckily he didn't need to use any of his angel powers, meaning he gets to stay here. Of course, Goku and Vegeta know by now that he's an angel, but they keep that a secret. There's no real reason for anyone else to know. The important thing is they won, and they're surprised to see how strong everyone on Earth is now. But still, they have a long way to go. Maris told them that they haven't completed Ultra Instinct yet, and they were hoping this fight would push them to the limits, but that doesn't seem to be the case. But the two of them are motivated. Vegeta wasn't too fond of Ultra Instinct at first, but now that he's had more practice with it and can use Ultra Instinct Omen at will, he decides that maybe it would be worth pursuing it. I mean, at this point he's invested so much time in it that he might as well. So the two of them aim to go further, hoping to get full control of this form soon enough. And with that, we'll leave this part off here for now. So, what did you guys think about this part and the scenario as a whole? I guess this is the ending here since there's not really much else to do. But hopefully we'll get to continue this soon. Leave any thoughts or suggestions in the comments below. I'll be sure to check them out to see what you guys think. As always, if you liked the video, be sure to drop a like. And let's see if we can actually hit that like goal from the beginning of the video. If you haven't already, why not subscribe? As well as hitting the bell icon and get notified about any future videos like this one, or any other uploads that I have on my channel. Anyways, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.